Hello and welcome to the first official brainstorming session for a brand new project that I am working on called NFTBay. I will probably change the name because somebody has already taken all of the good domains, and one guy in particular is squatting on it and he wants 30 grand for it. Anyway, I'm not going to start whinging about that. So I'm going to give a brief introduction to what NFTBay is. It's going to be basically a smart contract on the Ethereum blockchain originally that will be similar to eBay and allow people to bid on NFTs. Yeah, NFTs up and up and up to a certain point, and then the winning bidder obviously takes it based on time, and the bids can go on forever. A whole heap of stuff, but we will get into that later. I wanted to take this time to introduce my two distinguished guests. First guest of all is not the gentleman you can see here, but it's in fact the young man who's on mute. A man called Luis, who I've been working with on the Wrapped Steak project, and Luis has been doing a phenomenal job over on that project. So I decided, well, I need someone to handle the front end and plug into the smart contract. And Lewis was the first guy that sprung to mind. So here he is. I managed to drag him into the project somehow. So Lewis, how are you this afternoon?
Doing fine, thank you. Glad to be here participating.
Excellent. I'm honored to have you. Very, very glad to have you aboard. And also, I have another young man who I've met during my travels through the cryptosphere. He's an Ethereum expert. I decided to bring him on board because he's amazing at trashing projects. We often spend hours at a time on the phone chatting, and he will tell me about all the bad things that smart contract developers do. So I thought, who better to get on as an advisor for NFT Bay than my good friend Kayaba. Kayaba, how are you, mate?
Doing good. Sorry for the poor lighting. Someone didn't tell me in advance we were doing video.
Well, actually, the original plan was to not do video, and then I changed the plan, which I'm very good at. But I'm gonna try not to change the plan too much with NFT Bay. I don't want to increase the scope or nothing like that. I just want it to be nice and quick, get it built, get it out there. So, right, I introduced both of you guys. This is probably the first time you two have met, so it's good to be connecting people. I introduced the NFT concept. So first of all, what I wanted to do was discuss the core concept of NFT Bay and see if you guys thought there was anything that I was missing. So I presented the proposal to you both. What I will do is I'll convert it into PDF format and I will link it in the description for this because there may be some bits that I miss out with my brief overview. But as I said before, it's basically where people can list items which are NFTs, digitally native pieces of soft or pieces of data. Let's say there could be artworks, there could be music, it could be video, it could be anything that you can make an NFT out of. I think there even talks about having financial instruments as NFTs in the future, but who knows? And then they will go onto the smart contract. The smart contract will take control of said NFT and then will allow people to bid on it. Each bid at this point, each bid will have to be 5% higher than the lower bid, the bid below it, or the bid which is overtaken. And there will be a timer. And when the timer runs out, the highest bidder will then get to be able to claim the NFT. Uh, then what will actually happen is someone will have to pay to then release that NFT because there will be gas fees at that point. Generally, it will be the person who won the bid who will pay for it and claim it. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So far, I've had a rough. I've got a developer who's staying anonymous, as developers generally do when they work with me. I don't know what it is about me and my chicanery, but there you go. So he's staying anonymous, or he or she is staying anonymous. But I have managed to get a version of the code of the smart contract as it is so far for my friend Kayaba to look over. So he is probably quite aware, or probably knows it better than I do because he would understand it better. What I will attempt to do is get that over to you, Luis, within the next 48 hours or so, 24 hours. Obviously, homeschooling, lockdown here in the UK, so we're trying to juggle as many things as we can. And I'm still trying to do that maths equation from wrapped steak, which I've been crying about for the last 2 weeks, as you well know, Luis. So yeah, so just basically on that premise, I'll start with you actually, Kayaba. Do you feel that there's anything that's missing, any features that are missing from the smart contract
Uh,
as it is, or any things that could be improved so far?
the smart contract in front of me is really a prototype. It needs a lot of tests done. But besides that, one of the things you brought up was ERC-20s.
Hmm.
You were discussing having individual ERC-20s for the auction, so an auction could be done in DAI or some native ERC-20 for whatever platform is hosting the NFTs. And that would have to be implemented. But yeah, no, it implements the core auction functionality. You list, you bid, you claim.
Okay, excellent, excellent. The developer is pretty good. Well, I've got some faith in them, so they're not too bad. The part which I was the most afraid of really was the front end. Front end developers are really hard to come by at the moment. They seem to always have been hard to come by, but they seem to be in particularly short supply now. Um, with plugging in from the front end of the website. I had already said I wanted a static website. I didn't want too many moving parts on the actual website. I wanted that to be as simple as possible with a view to being able to port that website to loads of different people. So I wanted, let's say, Decentraland, which is one of the first places I'm going to try to aim at. I want them to be able to build like a plugin or maybe like a microsite or a page or even tools to plug into the smart contracts. I want it to be able to be run quite statically. Kaya, do you think that's a good design idea? Do you think that's possible to be done from a feasibility point of view?
Uh, so really, if we're discussing an Ethereum set, really a static site is how everything should be done. Ethereum should be used to say, oh, here's my address, this is my identifier, it's my quote unquote username if we want to use traditional terms. Private key is a valid password, and there's no hidden data here. All of this data is completely public, so there's no real security risk with the fact that you can spoof logins, because even if you actually went to claim an item, it's not like you could sign the transaction for it, or not like you could redirect it to a different address. Really, I'm just saying, yes, we should be using Ethereum for all of this, and that's how the contract is currently set up. I did volunteer to do the JavaScript integrations for the contract to the website.
Mhm.
And yeah, given the fact that this sort of stuff is based off MetaMask or Web3 providers in general, yeah, there's no real concern with making it a static website.
Okay, Luis. Generally, do you agree with your esteemed colleagues' um, notes, comments just there?
Yeah, totally. I don't see any issues with having a static site to support this type of integration with the smart contract. Should be pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I did also share a template of another generic marketplace. I guess it's a generic auction marketplace. Do you think it will be quite difficult to kind of plug in the calls from the website to the smart contract into that type of template?
No, I had the opportunity to see the template that you sent me. It is totally not so difficult to be able to replicate something like that. So it should be also okay.
Awesome. Okay. Another thing I was thinking about, Luis, was I really didn't want to have the actual website because I wanted it to be static. We wouldn't be able to have accounts and things like that, which we're keeping hold of. So everything will have to be on chain. I I thought about it. I thought it through, and I kind of thought that was the best way to go about it. So I guess we wouldn't have things like feedback, but then I suppose we wouldn't need things like feedback if everything is being handled in a trustless and decentralized fashion. Is that kind of correct? Have I got that correct?
Well, we already have like the Ethereum address that is going to be identifying each user as it interacts with the smart contract. So that should be good enough for us to interact with the NFT. If we wanted to have some sort of blog support or feedback mechanism, there is always a possibility to integrate some sort of database to be able to handle that. So that also should not be a problem. And we can always identify users via the Ethereum address. So that's also not a big deal.
Because the problem I was thinking was if we had another database, then we've moved away from the static. I guess that's the.
Yeah. It depends on what we really want to have in the end.
Okay, so, go ahead, Luke.
Of course, we could either do a static site partnered with a non-static site where we like outsource to Freshdesk or write our own solution, or B, we could just put contact@nftbay.whatever in a footer, and if a user does find a bug in the website, or hopefully not in the smart contract itself, but if they found one in the smart contract itself, or if they just want to say, hey, can you add this search functionality so I can only do X, then they could just send us an email about it. And that's generally less accessible than a web form because you have to go somewhere else and then you have to use your own email address. But plenty of users are still willing to send an email for support. In my experience, I'm not the expert here. I'd ask Luis more about that.
Would you agree with that, Luis? Does that sound about right?
Totally. Yeah, it sounds okay. Yeah.
That's the reason why I got you two gentlemen involved. Right, okay. So I wanted to discuss our working methods. Basically, what would be the best way for us to communicate? So, should I create us a little Discord group or something like that? Just because you may run into something, Luis, that you may need a little bit of a pointer from Kayaba on or something like that, or vice versa. Kayaba may see something and say, okay, let's give Luis a heads up so that he doesn't fall foul of this, which is not correct. I don't know what it could be. I'm not one of the geniuses here. So what would you guys say? Could I put together perhaps a Discord group or something like that where we can all hash out the minor details?
Yeah, totally. For me, a Discord group will be working fine.
Yeah, is that okay with you as well, Kayaba?
Yeah, my question is, will the invite link be in the description of wherever this is uploaded?
I don't know if we should have a public Discord yet, but I guess the answer is yes. So yeah, I hadn't really considered it, but yeah, I'll get a Discord together. I've actually got my own Discord. I may start using it, so I may.
We could always do a private channel and a public channel.
We could have a private channel in a public Discord. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So if we want to talk about details and stop anyone else from just copying us, but we do want to start gaining a user base and people interested,
yeah,
it'd work out.
Yeah. That was one other thing I was worried about. I'd actually considered. I guess the question for you, Kayaba. Once the smart contract is out there, it will be open source and everybody will be able to see it, and people will be able to copy it. What would be there to? Well, I don't want to say stop because I don't really want to stop people from doing it. But how easy would it be for somebody to just copy the contract and then go and host their own minus the 4% fee, which I plan on implementing?
Sorry, mind asking that again?
How easy would it be for someone to copy the smart contract and re-implement it with minus the 4% fee?
I did hear the 4% fee part. I just missed out on the first part. Sorry, that's
that really quietly, like I was ashamed of it. I'm like, oh, that's 4%.
Honestly, smart contract. Let's go with the term DRM. To take a term from video games. Hey, don't copy my video game. It has DRM. No, smart contract DRM. It doesn't work.
No.
Nope. It's actually an interesting thing to theorize about, and I actually haven't seen too many blog posts or papers on it. Oh my gosh, I could start that. Anyways, point is that every further check, the source code is public. The check can be removed. You can not publicize the source code, but the whole point that video games are hard to break is because you're dealing with the raw binaries and you have to search through obfuscated code and so on. If you're publicizing the source code, it's all public, and any added checks would truly just add to the cost of gas. And there's really not anything efficient you can do for DRM checks and so on. So really what we would have to offer is, because if we're doing a static site, that can also be downloaded and rehosted with the new addresses. Really what we would have to offer is the platform as a whole. We would have to say, hey, we have the user activity, we have these groups working with us and pointing to our smart contract and so on and so on. And you did actually bring up a way to incentivize I'll use the term partners to go to our platform. Not sure if you want to go into that now or not. But really, we can't stop copying. We just have to make it so there's no reason to go to a copier due to activity.
Yeah. I guess it's the same with Uniswap and
Mhm.
SushiSwap and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, well, I'm
Exactly.
happy with that. I suppose that's what open source is about. That's why I came here. I kind of want to pull the drawbridge up now that I've got an idea that I can hold and be like, it's mine, but I guess that's a bad thing to do. The other thing that you just alluded to, I will bring up now. I will actually, well, you brought it up. I will actually explain it. Is what I had said or what I'd theorized was we could have a 4% fee for anybody using the platform. 4% is, I guess, it's half of what actual eBay charges. It's quite a low fee, but 4% of the winning bid will go to the team, which is basically me. And whoever else I'm employing to take us to the next stage. But what I had thought of was for partners, so for maybe websites like Decentraland or some of the marketplaces around that ecosystem, they wanted to plug in, I would split the fee with them. So we'd have 50% of, or 2% go to the guys at Decentraland or OpenSea or wherever it is, and then 2% would come through to us. I felt like that was a good idea. I'm hoping that Kaiba doesn't think it's, well, I'm assuming he doesn't think it's a terrible idea. Otherwise, he would have 100% shouted it at me as soon as I brought it up. So I'm going to assume he didn't think it was a terrible idea. Luis, how does that grab you as an idea for
Uh,
incentivizing?
I think it's pretty fair. Like as you just said, it's not a really big fee that you will be charging for this service. So I think it's a good a mechanism to try to also support the developers and all this hard work that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The weed that doesn't include me. I don't really do the hard. My hard work is done really. Okay, Kaya, but one last thing. This is actually nice and short call actually. Well, two last things. First of all, of the two is fees, and I don't know how familiar you are with Matic, but all these other third-party Ethereum fee solutions. How difficult do you think it would be to add something like that, or to get somebody to add something like that, even if my guy can't do it? How difficult do you think it would be to get to add something like that so that the fees aren't such a big issue? So then people can put um, auctions up which may not get a bid on, because the problem is going to be to put an auction on is going to cost you, I don't know, maybe $15 or $30 just to put the auction on. So if you may not get a bid, you may be scared to put that auction on at all.
Oh, so as far as I know, uh, well, really the layer two scaling solutions I know about are like CK rollups and so on. I'm not sure where Matic falls into that because they're just not one of the groups I've heard about in the field. But the main problem is going to be with the custody of the 721. Unless the NFT platform themselves supports that second layer solution, and we are able to hook into the same second layer solution, I don't believe it will work. Because when you list it, you're not just creating a listing, you're actually doing the transfer.
Yeah.
And when you do the token transfer, that would also have to be on the layer 2, which means that the underlying token contract would need to be. So I don't think this will be something we can outsource to a layer 2. We may be able to outsource bidding. That would definitely be interesting, but I'm not entirely sure in the end.
Okay.
When I've looked into integrating ZK rollups into contracts, there's not really a lot of good documentation about it. So, I mean, I'm happy to look into Matic specifically and get back to you on that, but I would not expect that to happen at launch.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. Finally, I was thinking about holding these calls perhaps every fortnight, something like that, every 2 or 3 weeks, I think, because we're going to be speaking as we are speaking. The contracts is pretty much done, I guess. Um, I know, Kaya, but you're going to rip it to shreds. Well, not rip it to shreds, but I know you're going to give the guy a hard time and maybe make some changes here and there, X, Y, and Z. So we'll allow some time for that. But we was hoping to have everything kind of done and dusted, or I was hoping to have everything kind of done and dusted within about 4 weeks. So let's say we add another 2 weeks for whatever changes need to be made. Owing to the fact I only gave you the contract a few days ago, so I'm assuming you don't quite know what needs to be changed. And also from Luis's point of view, let's say 2 weeks to make the modifications on the front end. Do you think is that pushing it a little bit too much?
I think it should be enough time to be able to accomplish it.
Okay. Just also, like I always say with all the projects that I do, timelines are timelines. They're kind of guides. They're not. I don't like the term deadline because nobody should die if they're late. I think it should just be when it's ready. We'll release it once it's ready. So on that note, thank you, gentlemen, so much for giving up your time on this Monday evening, and I should upload this, I don't know, next few days, and I'll put us together a little Discord group, and we can discuss how we take this project to the next step, and hopefully get it done by around Easter time. I should think. So yeah. So first of all, Luis, thank you very much. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we left?
No, I think we're good for now.
Yeah. And Kayaba, also, thank you very much, mate. It's great to have you on my team, trashing somebody else for a change instead of trashing my beloved Pivex.
I trash your projects daily. This is the least I can do.
Yeah, that's the reason. I just thought, listen, all this trashing, I might as well use it to my advantage. There's one more advisor who I do want to get on board, Luis, so he will probably be working more with you than Kayaba. He's a guy who does user experience and UI.
Okay.
He's really good. I haven't approached him yet, so I'm not gonna name drop him. I'm not gonna name drop him now. I haven't approached him yet. So what I'm gonna do when I get off this call, I'll probably send him this video so he can see it, and then see if I can, I don't know, blackmail him or something into joining the project. We'll see what we can do. I'm gonna have to make him an offer that he can't refuse.
Sure.
So yeah, guys, thank you very much. It's been a nice, concise meeting. Most of the blocks are in place already. I know, Luis, I know you know what you're doing with the plugging into smart contract because I've seen you do it already, and hopefully we should get this one done. It should be a good one. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.